We are a few weeks into the new NBA season. The Knicks still adjusting to their new head coach. For the Nets, it's very much looking like a rebuilding year, to put it nicely. Plus, the even bigger story to start this season has been the FBI's gambling investigation with ties to the league and some of its players and coaches. And to talk all about it, Fred Katz is here. He is the senior NBA writer for The Athletic. Fred, welcome back to the show. Always good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. I always appreciate coming on.
Yeah, let's start with the Knicks, right? Of course, the team on the court looks pretty similar to last year, but new head coach. How are you seeing, I guess, what are we learning about Mike Brown in these first few games?
I mean, the first and most obvious thing is just the stylistic change in how they're trying to play right now. And offensively, there have been some moments where they have looked totally out of sorts. And there have been other moments where they've looked really good. They're trying to play faster. They're trying to get into their offense quicker. They're trying to get more threes, specifically more catch and shoot threes, just spot up ones as opposed to these difficult ones they got to create off the dribble. And there have been times where it looks great. It looked really good for a lot of last night's win against Chicago. And then there have been other times, like the previous game against Chicago in that first half, where they've struggled more.
So I guess my follow-up question, I guess I know the answer. Do you think they've adjusted?
I think
or in the process of, probably.
Yeah, in the process of, and I think it depends on the player. Like, I think there are certain guys who are struggling more with the adjustments than others. Like, for example, Mikal Bridges, career high 9 assists against Chicago on Sunday night. And he's done such a good job with the ball in his hands more, being able to make reads, create for teammates, being able to play faster. He's defended really well, defending multiple positions, and he just looks like a completely different guy than the one who struggled in his first year in New York last year. And then on the other side of it is someone like Karl-Anthony Towns, who throughout his career has been much more of a, we're going to put the ball in his hands, we're going to let him make decisions, we're going to let him find cutters, we're going to let him try to score, because that guy can score on anybody. And this is just a bigger stylistic adjustment for somebody like him. And we've seen some games where he hasn't looked like the all-star version of Karl-Anthony Towns that we're all used to seeing. And so I think everybody is at different parts, you know, in the process. And the goal that they'll tell you is for everybody to get there by mid-season or end of season to make a good playoff run.
Bridges does look so much more comfortable this season. Do you think that's because of the contract he signed, just being somewhere long-term? Does that help?
I honestly think it's more of the basketball stuff. You know, if you ask anybody who was around the Knicks last year when Tom Thibodeau was the head coach, and there were some people in the building who loved Tibbs and valued Tibbs and really responded to Tibbs, and him and Bridges just, it didn't quite click. And I never thought it quite clicked from a basketball perspective either, honestly. There are certain things on the court that Bridges is doing differently than he was then. Like I said, ball in his hands more, being able to create more. I think his reads with the ball in terms of just being a passer are so much more on point right now. He ironed out his jump shot a little bit. Last year, he showed up with much more of a herky-jerky jump shot. And, you know, the farther out threes, he just struggled to hit those with any kind of consistency. He's so much smoother with the jump shot now than he was then. He just looks really, really good, playing more physical ball, going to the hoop. Just looks really good. It's been a great start to the season for him.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch him. How about Mike Brown? Do you think he has adjusted to New York?
I think he is adjusting. He even said last night after the win over Chicago, it was their 6th game of the year. And even he talked about how he's still learning the team, he's still learning the players, he's still learning how to use them. At the beginning of the season, he wants to play a bunch of guys. He wants to play 9 guys, 10 guys in every game, which is obviously a change from what the Knicks were doing last year. During the regular season, we saw them play 8 guys in a lot of nights. In the playoffs, it was 7 guys. And they're trying to expand that rotation. But Mike Brown's also trying to get an idea of which lineups work. You know, the beautiful thing about basketball versus, say, baseball is kind of a bunch of individual matchups inside of a team sport. Where basketball, you might find 2 guys who might be okay players, and then you put them together, and they both, for whatever reason, bring out the best in each other, and all of a sudden that lineup just looks a lot better than okay. And the opposite is possible to happen too. And Brown is kind of trying to find those combinations right now, and even he talked about how his substitution patterns have been a little bit haphazard earlier in the season. He's trying to find more consistency with that. I think it's just a learning experience when you bring in a new coach for everybody involved, including the coach. And it's something that the Knicks are going to have to be patient about. And they know they have to be patient about it.
Yeah, you got to gel, right? Speaking of maybe not gelling, the Nets. Been really tough to watch this team this year. I love Brooklyn. I love this team. But, man, I think rebuilding year is putting it nicely. They do have 5 picks. Only one of them is playing. I guess my question is it too early to ask this, but, like, are they tanking? And when do they admit that?
I don't know if they'll admit it, but I think they are admitting it without admitting it.
Yeah.
I think they're If there were a tanking team, it would be a team that didn't have any wins. Let's put it that way. They came into last year, honestly, probably not tanking hard enough. I mean, they made a trade before that season to regain control of their own first-round pick. And the point of doing that was to be able to get a really high pick in the draft. And then they won a few too many games off the top. And they held on to Cam Johnson for the entire season, who's a good veteran player who helped them win games and is now going to help the Denver Nuggets win some games. They held on to Dorian Finney-Smith, another solid veteran who they ended up trading, but it was pretty far into the season as opposed to before the start of it. And all of a sudden, the Nets, who were not good last year by any stretch of the imagination, but they won more games than they thought they would, also because Jordi Fernandez really had that team playing unbelievably well as a first-year head coach, just gets those guys running. And this year, they are making sure, whether intentionally or not, that I don't think that's going to happen again.
Don't make the same mistake twice. I guess my question is, when do more of these rookies start to play, or what do they do? Do they trade some of these picks that they have coming up for a big name, or is that what you're exactly saying not to do again?
Yeah, well, they have a lot of young guys, and they have a lot of positional overlap too, right? Like they drafted a bunch of guys who are kind of at their better parts with the ball in their hands, and if you play them all at once, you're capable of creating bad long-term habits for a bunch of them. I just kind of think they're in no rush right now. They're kind of waiting to see what they get. Normally, on a team like this, and a team that's kind of destined for whatever record this ends up being, whether they win 15 games or 20 games or 24 games or whatever it ends up being, I don't know if it'll go as high as 24 games, but however many games they end up winning, when you have this team, like throughout the course of the year, you're just going to kind of see the youth move in slowly as the year continues to go on. And, we'll see exactly when that happens and how that flows, but I'm sure that will be the case moving forward.
Let's zoom out a bit here. Of course, the biggest story of this NBA season has been the gambling scandal that broke as the season really tipped off. I guess, what's been your reaction to watching this unfold over these past few weeks?
It's really unfortunate for the sports world because on one side is the legal part of it, and we see the two gambling indictments, and one of them is an accusation of players essentially doing the sports betting equivalent of insider trading, of saying, okay, I'm going to come out of the game early, bet on all of my unders, and they'll hit because I'm going to come out of the game early. And another one is a player allegedly participating in an illegal poker ring. And that's something that doesn't actually have to do with the NBA. It's just using somebody as a face card to get them in the door so you can allegedly steal money from them via a poker game. The poker stuff is terrible and damning from a legal perspective. The shaving point stuff or insider trading stuff, or however you want to put it, is terrible and damaging from an integrity of the league perspective. And ultimately, with gambling so front-facing right now, and yes, they legalized sports gambling, but one thing they did was they legalized it, and they didn't put restrictions on it the same way we have restrictions on alcohol and tobacco.
Right.
Just because cigarettes are legal doesn't mean that you can throw out advertisements in the middle of a game and advertise to 12-year-olds like you can if you're FanDuel in the middle of a game. And so they're making it so accessible and so easy and so front-facing. And the whole point of it is to make people want to participate in it, right? And we're kind of seeing that the people you don't want to participate in it are starting to participate in it. It's a problem. It's a problem, and the league has to be just locked in on it right now.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate, and you're right, you can't avoid it. My next question to you is, Chauncey Billups is a big name. He was loved here when he played in New York. Do you think there are, or can we expect other names to come out in similar investigations?
I mean, I can tell you this, that when you talk about it with people around the league, whether you're talking about it with players or execs or whomever else, everybody around the league is kind of just waiting and wondering to see where this is going to go. I don't think there is anybody in the league who would answer that question by saying, oh, no, it's definitely done.
Right.
I don't think there's anyone who believes it's definitely done. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I can tell you just, as a reporter, you have those reporter instincts where like the antenna goes up and you're like, no, keep digging. This is a keep digging moment. And I don't know where it's going to go or how it's going to turn out, but it is not a good thing for the NBA. It's not a good thing for the sports world. And it is just really bad for the health of the league when the integrity of the game comes into question in such an obvious and egregious way.
Right. It's the fans who really lose sight of the sport, right? They're like, can I really trust what I am watching play out on my TVs every night when I go to these games? But also I want to talk about from the players' perspective. We obviously spend a lot of time with these players, and they're so accessible now in a way that they weren't for years until social media became such a big thing. And I know some of them have talked about it, right? The struggle of getting these DMs when, say, somebody's under doesn't hit or they're over doesn't hit. And, people send them angry messages, and these players are humans. I mean, that must take a toll on them. You've probably had conversations with them about this.
Yeah, 100%. And I have, there have been players who have showed me some DMs, who have shared some DMs with me, who have shown me tweets. There are some people, you might be shocked to know, who don't bother to DM it. They just tweet it right out there in the public so you can see it right away. It has definitely led to more verbal abuse of the players, and people say stuff during games too that you're like, all right, that was not just booing or saying your normal stuff that you would say to a road player during a game. You know what I mean? So I do think it's led to that kind of behavior. That being said, the players are making a lot of money from this too, right? When FanDuel does its deal with the NBA as an advertisement, that's part of the basketball-related income that then gets divvied up and given to the players as well. So they're making money on the other side of this. But I'm with you. It makes me queasy, kind of the way that this has been. Not that it's been rolled out, but the way it's been rolled out. I think it could have been handled better, at least more gracefully, with a little bit more thought behind it. And right now we're kind of seeing this sort of Wild West-y sort of moment. Yeah. And the league has to put an end to this. And by the way, any other professional league has to be looking at this and thinking, oh no. Right. Like, get on this now before anything happens here.
Yeah, it is going to be really interesting to see how the NBA, how all these leagues, as you said, handle this in the days and the weeks and the months and the years even to come. Fred Katz, senior NBA writer at The Athletic, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest news and weather updates every 10 minutes and more. We'll see you then.